This Canadian TikToker was trying to make her cousin laugh, and she succeeded. But it ended with her having a harmonica stuck in her jaw. In the video, which she chose to upload, you can see her panicking and breathing through the instrument, sounding like Thomas the Tank Engine.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, man, you guys don't know what we do. Let me break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys, man, who come back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, commenting down below, even if it's just to say hi, guys. It helps boost us in the algorithm, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Insane facts about your eyes you never knew. Blue eyes are the result of a genetic mutation that occurred in Europe 10,000 years ago. The rarest eye color in the world is green. Only 2% of people have them. Your eyes can detect over 10 million different colors. You'll blink over 630 million times in your life. After all that blinking, no wonder why our eyes feel tired and irritated sometimes. That's why I've been using Theratears eye drops to keep my eyes hydrated after spending hours on my phone. The screen eye drops provide instant relief from dry eyes during the day caused by staring at screens for too long. And before bed, I use Theratears overnight eye drops to wake up with hydrated eyes that don't feel bad in the morning. Go to the link in my bio and give your eyes the break they deserve with Theratears eye drops.
Here are some kids who won Halloween. This little boy went as his grandpa, and that has to be the cutest thing I've ever seen. But it goes hand in hand with this little girl who went as her grandma. And this kid nailed his Russell costume from Up. This little girl and her dog totally won Halloween. Beauty and her Beast. And this kid went as the Stanley Cup. And here we have a little Beetlejuice. This kid went as a jet, and honestly, this costume is pretty cool. This little guy went as a toy soldier.
Oh yeah, he won.
And this kid as the gingerbread man is so iconic. Here we have the Squid Games girl. And this baby as Oscar the Grouch has made my entire day.
This is why you should always lock your doors as soon as you get home.
Line 30.
There's a guy outside.
The police was called and the man was left alone after his family explains he just has mental problems.
This man tried opening the door. Can you imagine what would have happened if that door was unlocked?
How rare is your body? Only 5% of people in the world can lick their elbow. Red hair is the rarest hair color in the world, and only about 2% of people have it. Next is the double row of eyelashes. Only about 1% of people have this, and it actually causes them to cry more. Only 5% of people have this extra hole near their ear, and it's actually proof that humans once had gills. And if you have 2 different colored eyes, you are super rare because only 0.1% of people have this.
How rare is your body, Seekers? I can do the elbow day. I'm pretty sure I don't have a hole next to my ear, so I don't have any power-ups.
The craziest torture methods ever. Part 29. The bastinado. Dating back to 1537 in Europe and 960 in China. Literally the act of beating the shit out of somebody's feet. Typically performed with canes or sticks. They made sure to avoid the bone structure of the ball and heel. They went straight for that soft tenderloin meat right in the middle. Fuck that.
A warning is now being issued for the rise of the XL bully cats, and people are being urged not to buy them. The mutant breed is being created by breeders in the US by mixing the gene that causes hairlessness in Sphinx cats with the gene that is responsible for short legs in Munchkin cats. And now they are spreading to the UK after being bred to resemble the XL bully dog, which, as we all know, was banned in the country last year. The reason animal experts are urging people not to buy them is because they suffer from a number of serious health issues. Their short legs make it harder for them to jump, put them at a disadvantage if attacked, and can lead to painful arthritis. They have no whiskers, which can cause problems with communication and navigation. Their lack of fur gives them limited ability to regulate their body temperature, and can even get burnt when out in the sun. And experts even say that this breed is likely to have a life expectancy at least 6 years shorter than the average cat. They're urging all cat owners to put health over aesthetics and not to drive this experimental breed.
A lot of people messing with nature, man. You're crossing the line when you do that. I never got that notion, man, just trying to mess with nature. That's not the way it was intended to be. You can't just make up a cat species. Look at the result. That's an edit.
These three kids are pure evil. In 1966, in the southwestern town of Greenwich, Connecticut, there were three ill-tempered kids, Damien, Caleb, and Axel. The townspeople called them the Little Satans. From the age of 5, the Little Satans began to show a cruel side, frequently capturing small animals in the town's woods. The other kids in town were terrified and kept their distance. However, the parents of these three believed it was just harmless childhood mischief. Most townspeople chose to stay silent, fearing retaliation from these wealthy and influential families. But the Little Satan's behavior became increasingly brazen. One day, a few children from town went missing, and the last time anyone saw them, they were with the Little Satans. Yet, due to a lack of direct evidence, the local police were unable to launch a deeper investigation. One officer, Marcus Hayes, refused to give up. He kept investigating quietly, watching the three families day after day. Then, one night, all the Little Satan's parents gathered together, and Marcus sensed that something was wrong. He immediately called for backup, and they eventually discovered a hidden basement. Inside, they found the missing children from town. As Marcus dug deeper into the case, he uncovered something even more terrifying. Do you want to know what Marcus found? Comment Little Satans to watch part 2.
Scariest urban legend from each state, part 1. Slaughter Canyon in Arizona. A family lived down in the canyon in the 1800s. The husband would always go into the mountains and try and find food for his family. One day, the husband never came back. The family was starving. The wife went crazy and killed her children. To this day, you can still hear the wife crying for forgiveness around the area.
Slaughter Canyon.
While many people have a fear of flying, they should have a fear of driving. Statistically, if you lived through the drive to the airport, you've already survived the most dangerous part of your journey for the day until you get back into a car when you arrive at your destination. The chances of getting into a deadly plane crash on a large commercial airplane are around 1 in 13 million, but your chances of getting into a deadly car crash are around 1 in 100.
Crazy food facts you didn't
Fun
know.
fact, I never flew anywhere.
Dark chocolate can actually make you smarter. Bananas are classified as berries, but strawberries are not. Honey never expires. They found pots of honey in old ancient Egyptian tombs that are still edible. Carrots weren't originally orange, they were originally purple. If you have no time for breakfast and you're on the go, Fuel 10K is the best food hack. I'm obsessed with their strawberry breakfast drink. It's tasty and a quick boost of energy. And if I get hungry when I'm working, their oat squares are the perfect snack to make me feel full.
Here are moments of regret that were caught on camera. This one guy thought it would be funny to fool around at his local water park by hiding in one of the slides until the park closed. However, he forgot the fact that when the park closes, someone comes by to lock up the exit to the slides. And this happened exactly where he was hiding, and he was locked up, and his imprisonment was caught on camera. Next, during a heavy flood in his local city, a man tried taking a risk and drove straight into a giant body of water. Not only did this damage his car, but also his dignity, because people nearby were recording and roasting it. Next, this Canadian TikToker was trying to make her cousin laugh, and she succeeded. But it ended with her having a harmonica stuck in her jaw. In the video, which she chose to upload, you can see her panicking and breathing through the instrument, sounding like Thomas the Tank Engine. And finally, this lady saw a punching bag at her local arcade and tried to take a swing at it, only for her aim to be so off that she ended up hitting herself. She then saw that she was being recorded by her friend, flipped him off, and then immediately slipped and fell. I think at this point you have to move countries.
3 ways to survive.
You took that L.
Number 1. If you see a boy holding a knife at the edge of the woods, don't go near him and run the opposite way. Jeff is extremely strong and fast. Once you get too close, it's already too late. Number 2. Don't ever go looking for Jeff. Looking for him is an extremely bad idea, being so that he's extremely sick and twisted, and he'll probably do things that you wouldn't like being done to you. So looking for him shouldn't be on your list. Number 3. Don't ever make waffles past midnight, being so that Jeff is extremely obsessed with them. He loves waffles, and once he gets that scent, he'll walk towards them, ending up in your kitchen with a knife. Like and follow for more videos.
No waffles after midnight. Noted. Who eats waffles after midnight? Well, people go to Waffle House, so. See, because have you guys ever been to a Waffle House? It's been a minute, man, but they have some good waffle. That's an edit, man. We call them mama. We call out the edits. Every time.
Scroll
now or lose your innocence. So fun fact, deer actually like the taste of meat, but don't have the hardware to do anything about it. At least not to anything that's still alive. Yeah, I'd be shocked too. So you're looking at a deer taste testing a cat. No, I'm just playing. It's salt. We take it for granted because we can put salt in anything, but wild animals, they gotta get it out the mud. No, like literally, they get creative, and sometimes creative means a mouthful of soil. Sometimes elephants will go into caves just to lick salt off the walls. Yeah, you heard me. Elephants be splunking. And if you're a moose, you might just lick the salt off a car. Probably not great for insurance, car, health, life. A salt-feeding branch tank will wreck all three. And it might not be a cunning linguist, but best believe a deer will lick a cat clean. Butterflies taste with their feet, and they're attracted to the salt in our sweat. So a butterfly landing on you is taste testing your salt-seasoned skin, and that is no joke. They'll also go out of their way to irritate the eyes of other animals to force them to cry, just so they can drink the tears. Yeah, it ain't sweet. Salt can kill you in more ways than high blood pressure. Amazon animals often use clay licks called gold buds to add a little salt into their lives, which can get cut brutally short since jaguars will stalk clay licks knowing someone's gonna get got eventually. And deer using salt licks can spread chronic wasting disease. And if you don't know, CWD is death with busy work. And then you got that time mountain goats got addicted to the salt in human urine. And when I say addicted, they had to give them the Aerovac. Those goats were craving that mineral at all costs. Moral of the story, I don't think there is one. I don't even remember how we got here, so something about cats?
This is the hotel room Liam was staying in when he fell from his balcony in a hotel in Buenos Aires. A hotel worker actually called police to tell them that someone was breaking everything in their room and that they were drunk and on drugs. When I tell you they said that the room was completely trashed, this is an example of what the room was filled with. This is one of the last photos they have of Liam before everything happened and he smashed his laptop in the hotel lobby. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention is that people are really pissed off right now because TMZ actually posted Liam's lifeless body on their social media and their website. Liam posted this Snapchat right before his death with his girlfriend, which people were a little confused because she's in this video, but in her TikTok video, she posts that she went back to Miami a day before he posted this. So people were just confused, like, was she there or was she not? But this was probably just an old video that he posted on that day. This is the TikTok video I'm talking about. Kate posted this 3 days ago and Liam passed away yesterday, so people were kind of confused how he posted a video on his Snapchat with her yesterday if she wasn't there. A new statement revealed that during his fall from the 3rd floor balcony, his skull cracked, which actually caused his death. And they're also saying that his fall was no accident, but that he intended to jump off. Liam has been pretty open about his struggles with addiction as well as depression, which people are speculating that this may have been a contributor as to why this happened.
Times when companies diss others, part 5. In 2009, Domino's ran an advertisement saying that in a blind test, their sandwiches beat Subway's 2-1. Well, Subway then solved this and sent a letter to Domino's demanding that they pull their ads from air. Well, Domino's replied with this commercial.
Domino's oven-baked sandwiches beat the taste of Subway's 2-1. Then Subway's lawyers sent us this letter demanding we pull our commercials off the air. I was gonna burn the letter, but everything's better when it's oven-baked.
Next, in 2016, a Burger King in New York covered its entire building with white sheets and dressed up as the ghost of McDonald's, saying that McDonald's was the scariest Halloween costume they could wear. And they also recorded this ad where everybody was just screaming at the building. McDonald's response was, "Who wouldn't want to pretend to be us?"
Weirdest kids' toys ever, part 16. Now this product isn't actually a toy, but it was designed for kids. Wonder Woman safety scissors. These are 100% real and from the late 70s. What were they thinking? I mean, just look at that spread.
Who is the weakest horror movie character on this list? You have Leatherface, Michael Myers, Pennywise, Freddy Krueger, Pinhead, and Jason. Now, as we can all agree, Jason's getting knocked off the list already.
Yeah.
He's the strongest, as we all know. We're now left with Leatherface, Michael Myers, Pennywise, Freddy Krueger, and Pinhead. Leatherface is pretty strong, don't get me wrong, but if he went one-on-one with any of these characters besides Pennywise, I think he's getting clapped. I think him versus Pennywise would be an actually pretty good fight. Yes, Pennywise is a demon, and Leatherface is a cannibalistic human that runs around with a chainsaw. But still, I think it would be a good fight. Then on the other hand, if you have Pennywise fight any of these other characters, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Pinhead, and Jason, Pennywise is getting packed up. So I feel like it's only fair that Michael Myers gets off the list. Michael Myers is packing up all of these characters besides Jason, making him the second strongest. And then for shits shits and giggles, I'm taking Pinhead off as well. Because Pinhead is extremely powerful. As soon as you open that cube, you're wraps. Those chains come out of nowhere, it is chalked for you. Then I'm taking off Freddy Krueger. Because let's be honest, Leatherface versus Freddy Krueger, Leatherface getting backed up. Freddy Krueger versus Pennywise, Pennywise getting backed up. But now the two weakest, in my opinion, is Leatherface and Pennywise. And if those two fought it out, I really and truly think Leatherface is winning. No holds barred. Pennywise is a fraud. Ain't that scary and ain't that strong. Don't forget to like and follow for more. Comment down below what you think.
You guys agree with that list? I think, like I said, Freddy Krueger, yeah, he's, I think, the one-on-one, bro. And that guys know I never check out scary movies, but I've heard of Freddy Krueger many times to know about that. Yeah, how scary that movie was. I said it.
Soldier lost his life for dating a transgender woman. On July 6, 1999, a group of soldiers who were stationed at Fort Campbell Army Base in Kentucky drove to downtown Nashville to go to a transgender club/bar called Connection. One of the soldiers, 21-year-old Barry Winchell, met a transgender dancer, Calpurnia Adams, at the club. The two hit it off, exchanged numbers, and started dating. One of the soldiers, Justin Fisher, started gossiping with other soldiers that Barry was dating a transgender woman. With this information, the soldiers were taunting, teasing, and calling Barry derogatory and vulgar names. Barry reported this to his superiors, but they basically just brushed it off. By the 4th of July weekend, Barry was just getting fed up with everything. Barry and another soldier named Calvin Glover end up getting into a physical altercation. Barry ends up winning that altercation, and the other soldiers are now making fun of Calvin for losing the fight, and he knew that he had something to prove to those soldiers. Calvin went to Justin's locker and retrieved a baseball bat, and while Barry was asleep, he struck him in the head and neck multiple times. Barry was transported to Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, Tennessee, where he died from massive head injuries. Calvin was arrested and accepted a plea deal for murder. Calvin claimed that he didn't mean to unalive Barry, that he must have just been too drunk. Justin was also arrested and sentenced to 12 and a half years in prison. As for Calvin, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Justin was released on October of 2006, and Calvin was released on parole on August 27th of 2020.
Once again, when you talk about aura, you better speak on this bear. This is the boss. That's his name, no relation. He's a 700-pound walking boulder of a bear and an anime plot device in a Gruesome's body. The boss has been recorded catching, murking, and eating multiple black bears. In fact, one of the first times he was ever seen was next to an expired bear, and officials had to close down the trail until the boss was done eating it. At one point, the boss hit a train and was tragically put down. The train, I mean. Oh, you didn't hear me. I said the bear hit the train. Boss ate that like it was nothing. He even shows up to the same tracks just to eat the animals that weren't strong enough to survive what he walked off. As mentioned, Boss was roughly the size of 2 prime shacks. As a whole plus-size predator, he was and is the biggest bear in the area, and it's believed he fathered more than 70% of all the bears in the area code. Mind you, he's believed to be up to 27 years old. Hey, twins, when the average male grizzly bear lives to 25. Which means by the time getting jumped, this bear on a LeBron type of run. And you know a bear that survived a literal train barely second-guesses cars, and the boss regularly crosses high-speed highways. It's anime plot armor with predatory hardware. The boss even has his own antagonist. That would be this guy, Split Lip. They've been running fades for years, and they've been in the same area for 15, so this beef may have marinated for over a decade. But I don't think Boss has taken an L yet. Boss from Bam better put some respect on the OG original Grizzly.
Let's talk about a
Boss versus
disturbing
Split.
game
Who
where
we
the
got?
main character is not what he seems. Hypocrite. Fair warning, we are going to spoil the story here, or at least what I think the story is. If you'd rather check the game out yourself, I have a full playthrough of it on my channel. We play as a social media influencer named August, and his whole thing is that he helps kids when they're being harassed on the internet or in real life. A guy named Leon requests that you help him find his daughter who's been kidnapped, and while solving kidnappings isn't really your thing, you decide to accept. And then, the story takes a turn. We watch as our character opens up a secret passageway behind a bookshelf. What could he possibly be doing? When he's down there in that secret tunnel, we learn what he really is. Our character, August, is a monster. He does not actually help people. And Leon's daughter has actually been kidnapped in his basement this entire time. But when Leon finds out something is up, it's too late, and August takes them both out.
This Russian engineer has just spent the last 6 years in his garage creating a real-life Iron Man suit. And this is not some little fun gimmick. Bro has literally invented certain elements specifically for this suit, like hydrogen artificial muscles. You see those wires? They are connected to his muscles, so when he flexes, checks is the suit moves with him, and it only gets crazier because he created a real plasma repulsor that creates such a quick hydrogen explosion that it can't even be captured on his camera. And just like the entire Iron Man suit is powered by Tony Stark's chest piece, RIP to a real one, so is this suit. He created the world's first fully functional personal hydrogen reactor that powers those plasma shots, the artificial muscles, and even this. Real hand burners that can reach temperatures of over 3,000 degrees Celsius. He made it by creating an electrolyzer that splits water into hydrogen and oxygen, which are then combined and ignited to produce the torch's flame. And the hardest part about this is creating a really powerful continuous torch, while also preventing it from blowing out, overheating, and just burning his hand off. So he casually solved this by designing a system with multiple nozzles and then added an inbuilt cooling system. Bro is literally Tony Stark at this point. Now he's currently working on the outer layer of this suit, which has taken him several months just to create the head and torso. Because he didn't just pick up the first material and get cracking. He has designed every element of this suit to fit his body perfectly, which is painstaking. He went from pencil sketches to creating an entire clay model. He then used high-resolution 3D scanning to create a precise digital copy. He 3D printed those parts separately, strength-tested countless materials, and then reinforced those pieces with Kevlar and carbon fiber. He even wrote and played the music he uses in the background of his videos. Oh, and he also holds the Guinness World Record for the world's first retractable lightsaber. And after 6 years, he's getting close. The question is, which will be complete first? GTA 6 or a real-life Iron Man suit?
Real life Iron Man. I'm taking that all day, every day, bro. Man, we were freaking pushing that boundaries, bro. Could you imagine? I couldn't even imagine the chaos, bro. Imagine Iron Man suits everywhere. That's just mind-blowing, man. I'm gonna have to check that out. That's it. Call them like we see it.
Fun fact, multiple people have been reporting that their robot vacuum cleaners are getting hacked, allowing hackers to gain full access to the machine's microphone, camera, and motion controls. One family's vacuum cleaner was hacked, and the hacker began shouting racist slurs through the microphone as they drove it around the house. All the hacked robot vacuum cleaners were Ecovacs D-Bot X2s, which ABC News Australia had already exposed to have massive security flaws. In another home, a hacked vacuum cleaner chased the family dog around the house while shouting at it through the microphone. But at least these people knew they'd been hacked. It's much scarier for those who didn't. As you can see from the ABC Australia news report, the Ecovacs D-Bot X2 has a very good camera, and you can clearly see a person's face or body.
This will be the last photo taken of her before she was pushed off of that cliff. This is Jolie Nicole Callan, and she was born on December 29th of 1996. In 2014, Jolie was a senior at Vincent High School, and this is where she would meet Lauren Daniel Gunner, and this is a guy who would become her boyfriend, and they would date for about 10 months. Those who were close with Jolie noticed that there were tons of red flags in the relationship. Lauren was possessive and insecure, and it seemed like he only wanted Jolie to invest her time and energy into him and nobody else. As the relationship progressed, Lauren became more manipulative and controlling, and anytime Jolie tried to leave the relationship, he would do something dramatic to make her stay. For example, Lauren threatened to take his own life, and this scared Jolie, so she decided to give the relationship another chance. In 2015, Jolie graduated from high school, and this time she decided she was going to break off things for good. Despite Lauren's threats, cries, and pleas, Jolie stood her ground, and she was done this time. Lauren wasn't one to accept the breakup easily, though, and it took him weeks until he could finally accept that they were never going to be together. Once it seemed that Lauren had finally accepted the breakup, he requested for Jolie that the two remain friends, and she happily agreed to that. On August 30th of 2015, Lauren asked Jolie if she wanted to go on a hike with him, and she agreed. The two had been broken up for about 2 months now, and Jolie texted a friend that she was going on a hiking trip, and it was going to be a symbolic friendship hike. For the outing, Lauren took a series of photos of Jolie and put it onto his Instagram page. The first photo taken of Jolie was her on the passenger side with her dog on her lap, and it was captioned, "On our way to go hiking." The final 2 photos of Jolie would be her on top of the mountain overlooking the view. As Jolie was admiring this view, Lauren took out a gun and shot her twice in the head. He then threw her off this 50-foot cliff, and just seconds before Jolie not knowing what her fate was going to be. After leaving the state park, Lauren called 911 and gave a full confession. Jolie had been shot in the back of the head and between the eyes. Lauren was waiting on the side of the road for police to arrive. He was covered in Jolie's blood, and he was quickly arrested and charged with her murder. Just a couple of weeks later, Lauren posted bond and was released from jail. Trial began in November of 2015, and Lauren pled not guilty. Lauren's lawyers argued that he was autistic, and since he was not 21 years of age yet, he did not have to serve more than 3 years in prison, despite the seriousness of the crime. Jolie's family got someone in the local press to petition for Lauren's status, and in December of that year, his status was revoked and the case was back in court. On July 13th of 2017, Lauren pled guilty, and he was sentenced to 52 years in prison and was tried as an adult. Lauren will also be eligible for parole in 15 years.
You never know what could be your last moment. It's giants? That's how the pyramid was built. That's how the pyramids were built, the Great Pyramids. Interesting edit. It's setting it up right.
Beauty standards from around the world that you probably didn't know about. Women from the Mercy tribe in Ethiopia remove their 4 lower front teeth and cut a hole in their bottom lip. Then they put in a plug to stretch their lips until they can insert a full-size lip plate. This can take many months to do, but the lip plates are symbols of beauty and identity, and they're often worn by unmarried women in hopes of seeming more feminine and finding a rich husband. These plates are changed regularly and each time increasing in size, and this tradition has existed for over 10,000 years. Follow if you want to see more.
That's insane to think about. Austria.
The most disgusting things actors had to do for a role.
Okay.
Do you guys remember this scene in Harry Potter when all the kids gathered for a feast with all this delicious food? Well, every time they filmed the scene, they couldn't replace the food, so it started to rot and smelled terrible. And the actors said it got so bad they could smell the stench before even walking on set. In Game of Thrones, Castle Black looked super disgusting on screen and was just as disgusting in real life. The set decorators hung raw meat from the ceilings, had real pigs wandering around, and didn't clean up for weeks at a time, which made the actors have an easy time pretending to be miserable and cold because it actually was. For the Hunger Games, Jennifer Lawrence took acting to the extreme and actually ate a raw fish in order to get into the skin of her character. She said the crew told her it would taste like sushi. Hint, it did not. She said it tasted as bad as it smells and that she's never doing that again.
They lie, bro.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia, part 3. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. Number 1. How about this? Feeling uncomfortable yet?
Still good.
Nearly there. Last one. Hit follow to see if you can make it to the next phobia test.
I made it all the way to the end. I don't think I have that phobia. They all getting freaking extinct, but then reintroduced.
Your brain's storage capacity is around 2.5 million gigabytes. Smell is the sense most closely linked to memory. Your short-term memory can only handle about 7 thoughts at once. You forget 50% of new information within an hour. And this fact really annoyed me, so I tried to come up with a solution and stumbled across Plurk. It's an AI-based device that can transcribe any audio recording to text in seconds. Luckily, it's simple, so when I need to remember something, I just start with the one-press voice recording on the Plurk device. And once complete, I just click transcribe. And boom, it's done. I have the whole transcription ready for use, and it's perfect. Or I can just select to create a summary and choose the style I'm looking for. For example, to find the most important points in a long meeting or create an audio report of that file. So I'm never going to forget something important ever again as long as I have this device with me. You can get it too, link in bio.
Nice new info. Oh, for that kind of makes sense about the short-term memory, because I know I'll be forgetting stuff that I know I'm supposed to know. It always gets to me, man.
This is the Devil's Castle, and it's one of the scariest places on Earth. It's located in a small town in Mexico. Its actual name is Castillo del Diablo, and it was built by a painting contractor named Tony Wells. He spent almost $4 million on the castle, and it's become a worldwide attraction. In the castle, you can find coffins, creepy mannequins, and gargoyles. Wells has a collection of over 800 swords and knives, and about 350 beautiful antique mirrors. Often, Satan worshippers leave him presents, even though Tony does not believe in Satan. Would you dare spend a night in this place?
That's a hell no. I'm new. I stay away from that type of energy, man. But he actually pulled $4 million into that. That's a lot of money, bro. Just to build something like that. That's we stay away from that energy, seekers.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. New York City is now giving rats birth control to stop them from reproducing. This restaurant sued this customer for leaving a $3,000 tip for his waitress. Pablo Escobar's abandoned hippos are still causing problems in the Colombian jungle. A hotel in Kentucky was ordered to pay $2 million after one of their guests passed away in a 150-degree shower. Karen was the most popular baby name 60 years ago, and now it is nearly extinct. Florida police are telling people to stop taking selfies with a depressed black bear. EasyJet is apologizing after leaving 3 passengers with disabilities on the runway. A Japanese political candidate was stripping on national TV and asking viewers if they thought she was sexy. A game developer was demanding naked sauna sessions with his employees. 5 fishermen in Sri Lanka passed away after drinking water from a bottle they found in the ocean.
These are the scariest
I'm
serial
supposed to
killers
do that.
in each state, part 1. Up first is Nanny Doss from Alabama, also known as the Giggling Granny. She married 5 times and murdered 4 of her husbands, and the only one that survived was her first husband. She also poisoned 11 of her family members. Her first 2 victims were her children, who allegedly died from food poisoning. She got the nickname the Giggling Granny because she would always laugh at the crime she committed. She killed 11 people and is definitely the scariest serial killer from Alabama.
She was laughing? No remorse, man. Watch out for those type of people.
This is the world's first passenger plane that doesn't have a pilot because it's being flown by AI. What could go wrong? The concept was revealed at the National Business Aviation Association event in Orlando, Florida. And the idea is to create a fully autonomous passenger jet that has similar benefits to self-driving cars. They believe AI could reduce human error, which is the leading cause of accidents, making air travel safer than ever. Because there would be no need for pilots, it could reduce costs, it could improve efficiency and reduce delays because planes could fly 24/7 without needing to rest for crew. And more personalized, on-demand flight options could emerge, like Uber for the skies. But then again, you would have to put your complete trust in AI 40,000 feet in the sky. So the question is, should this be made or scrapped immediately? Here are 3 options.
I'm gonna go with scrap, bro, because with AI, like, you never know. Somebody could hack and take over that plane, or it can glitch, man. You know, AI is still not perfect, man. And you putting your life at the hands of technology at 40,000, like I said, feet in the air, that's no, man. They need to scrap that.
Optical illusions, which I guarantee will make your brain hurt. First one, make that your phone background, I dare you. Wait, I've got another one for you. Second one, that makes me feel a bit sick. Let's see the last one. Now go give your eyes a rest.
Were they moving for you guys? They wasn't moving for me though, so. But I know those are probably some crazy optical illusions. Let's edit, man. We call them out. Like I said, if you guys see any edits, I need you guys to help me. Call them out too.
This woman did you-know-what with 919 men in one single day. Lisa Sparks set this record back in 2004 at the annual World Championships in Poland. She was competing against two other women, one of which was the current record holder who did you-know-what with 759 people in one day.
What the?
But the craziest part is Lisa set this record in only 12 hours, meaning she only spent 45 seconds with each man.
No. How is something like that even possible? She beat it in 12 hours. What happened to Shane, bro? That's insane. He's actually a world record for that? I'm scared to even look up who has the current record, bro. I don't think I want to know.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This man from Australia survived a wildfire by scuba diving in his pool while the wildfire was burning all around him. This man in his 40s fathered somewhere between 550 to 600 children. Because of this, he was court-ordered to stop donating his sperm. This man has fathered over 100 kids but has not been paid for it and even pays child support for some of them. A man in Louisiana who was pulled over by a police officer for drunkenly riding on a horse gave the excuse that the horse knows the way home. The sheriff ended up not giving him a DUI. This Englishman bought this island 60 years ago, moved to it, and never returned. This is what he looks like now after planting over 16,000 trees, attracting a bunch of different species of animals, and even making it a national park. This guy holds the world record for reciting pi to 22,514 digits in just under 5 hours, and he knows 11 languages.
Damn, he Jimmy Neutron.
Water slide in the whole world. This is known as the Leap of Faith. It's one of the most beautiful constructed slides in the entire world. But despite its beauty, it's actually known to be one of the most dangerous water slides. This slide consists of a 60-foot drop and was created back in 1998. But if that's not scary enough, it actually gets crazier. After the 60-foot drop, the riders are then sent through a lagoon of sharks. They're kept inside of the tube while the sharks are swimming around them.
He was 2 years old when he survived 4th-degree burns.
The candle fell. The fire spread quick and then into a blanket. And then it all caught on fire.
Zaid Garcia was only a toddler when his mother put him to bed and a candle fell on his blankets, causing his entire bed to set on fire. He was rushed from Mexico to San Antonio for treatment, where he had multiple surgeries, and doctors thought that he wasn't going to make it, but he did. 80% of Zaid's body was burnt, and he lost both of his hands and 5 toes. His eyes were also severely burnt, so doctors covered his eyes with his skin so it can help them heal. Zaid said that he's able to only see shadows and light, but hopes to regain his vision one day and remove the skin from his eyes. He's now 19 years old, and his story is a miracle since most people don't survive 3rd-degree burns. But what shocks me the most is despite everything Zaid has been through, he's still so positive and optimistic.
When you share your story with somebody, how do you hope they react?
Well, I know it'll make them sad, but I hope that it gets to their heart, and I hope it gives them hope and faith on themselves too. I know they might feel bad for me and everything, but I hope they think, well, if he did it, I could do it too.
Inspiring. Okay.
The first few weeks in Vienna were tough for Carla because she was struggling to find a job. In the meantime, Carla was working at restaurants that would pay her very little, but eventually she found a job at a restaurant that she states changed her life. Carla's mom states that Carla would take different shifts and she would often stay longer than she was supposed to, and when her mom asked her why she just wouldn't go home and go to sleep, she stated that the environment was so good that she just loved being there.
Okay.
Her mom would video call or talk on the phone every single day, and one of her mother's concerns was her staying up very late, and Carla just told her, don't worry, Vienna is different, it's super safe here. While Carla was living in Vienna, she had a roommate, and that was 26-year-old Edward from Romania. He never really interacted with her, and since she was always working, he was always working, they never really saw each other. However, a month after moving in, Carla started to feel a bit uncomfortable with Edward. She told her mom that she didn't like him because he was dirty, and she didn't want to confront him about it because she didn't want to start any kind of problems. She felt like there was something else that she didn't like about him, but she just couldn't figure it out. On the night of June 11th, Carla had texted a few of her coworkers that she was scared because her roommate had made his way into her room. Carla was on a video call with her coworkers when Edward entered the room and attacked her with an axe. Both coworkers called the police. They rushed over to Carla's apartment, and when they got there, they saw Edward outside with the axe and he was shirtless. When Edward saw the police officers arriving, he rushed towards them to attack them with the axe, and they shot him and he died at the scene. The officers went up to Carla's apartment and they found her on the floor, lifeless with multiple head injuries. On June 26, Carla's ashes were sent back to Chile where her loved ones could see their final goodbyes.
Deadliest computer viruses in the world, part 3. This is the infamous
get a
virus.
roommate.
You'll see exactly why it's called that. So we're going to open it up here and then click run and then run again. Allow this publisher to make changes, yes. This malware is no joke. Continue. Hell yeah. Alright, now let me show you what happens. First thing, the computer restarts itself. A classic virus move. Boots back up and we have stage 1. Background and theme change to this red looking vibe. Stage 2, Windows loads with a bunch of spam user accounts, all with a bunch of weird characters, each password protected. And the main admin account is called No Escape. At this point, most keys on your keyboard would be disabled. Stage 3, admin password is set to death, all lowercase, so we punch that in to log on. Stage 4, all files on your computer are deleted and your desktop is filled with these junk files, all with those same strange characters. Stage 5, your mouse buttons are swapped, so left click is right and right is left. If you open up any of these files in Notepad, it just says this: your computer is mine. You cannot get rid of this malware. Stage 6, you can't really do anything with your computer anymore, and on September 18th, it will delete the Windows bootloader, meaning that you can't even turn it on. So yeah, let me know if you're interested in trying this out, and I'll send you that download link.
Who wants to fry their computer intentionally? That's a hell no for me. You gotta be careful with those links you click on, man. They be trying to get you. So far, thankfully, I've avoided all of those.
You will not believe how this woman stalker found her. In 2019, police in Tokyo arrested a 26-year-old man by the name of Fubiki Sato, who was suspected of following home a young female pop star and whom he later moved on to assault and molest as she was walking into her apartment complex. But how did he find out exactly where she was? Well, that's the scary part. It was said that Sato screenshotted one of the girl's social media posts in which he zoomed into her eyes, and in her eyes you could see the reflection of a very famous landmark, and that's how he found her location. He then proceeded to use Google Street View, where he would find the exact coordinates of the landmark that was reflected in the girl's eye. This is when he would move on to this location and commit the horrific acts on this young woman. So guys, this is why it's very important to be careful about what you post on social media, because he found her through a reflection in her eyes. Who's to say it couldn't happen to you?
Top 4 most horrifying places in the ocean. 1. Hot Tub of Despair, Gulf of Mexico. This is 3,300 feet below the surface of the ocean. It is a very real, very deadly version of Goo Lagoon, where it killed Mr. Krabs and most of the fish in that show as well, because this is a really toxic mix of super salty water, methane, and hydrogen sulfide that basically kills any sort of organism that goes near it. To is Sirena Deep. This is the 3rd deepest part of our ocean, and it's absolutely horrifying for a lot of reasons. First of all, we have no clue what lives down there, but basically it looks something like this, completely dark and devoid of life, with crushing pressure and freezing cold water, and it's really scary and empty and dark. 3. The East Siberian Sea. It's basically filled with ticking time bombs of giant methane pockets that may or may not explode in the near future because of global warming, the fact they're under a bunch of ice, and when they do explode, it'll release a lot of damaging, chemicals, and it also will make the water around them boil and probably kill anything that's in that water with it. 4. The Ring of Fire, or the outline of the entire Pacific Ocean. This is a very large area of seismic and volcanic activity. Among other things, this is also where the largest mountains and volcanoes are on our planet, which is kind of horrifying.
Gotta take care of our planet, bro, or it's gonna erupt.
This woman shocked everyone at this carnival game because in order to win, you have to hang on to the bar for 2 minutes, which doesn't seem like a long time. But if you've ever tried this, you'll understand just how difficult this simple task is. But what the employees didn't know is that she's actually a rock climber, so this wouldn't even be a challenge for her. And as the time winded down, with no signs of struggle to be seen, she eventually got down to the final seconds, out with a small crowd forming in order to witness what would happen. And just watch what she does when the timer ends.
What the heck? That is hard. That's impressive. Could you guys do a Seekers? 2 minutes?
Do you think you could beat this game?
Whatever it was that really happened in the hotel president was one of the most disturbing mysteries in American history. This is January 2nd, 1935, when the hotel president in Kansas City, Missouri got a very strange visitor. This very unusual young man who checked in under the name of Roland T. Owen. He was eventually going to be placed in room 1046, and over a period of days, the maid staff just kind of routinely entered the room because it was always dark in there, so they assumed nobody was in there. Every time they walked in, what they would actually find was Roland T. Owen sitting on the bed in a suit in complete darkness, doing nothing. The most disturbing of all was really what took place on January 4th. Hotel staff had entered the room because of a disconnected phone line, and when they got in there, Roland T. Owen was found on the ground, covered in blood, and he had been stabbed multiple times. And just before he died, they asked him, who did this to you? Which he just said, no one. Even more bizarre, an anonymous caller who was allegedly a woman called in and paid for his entire funeral. If you do want more to the story, I would go check it out right on the show.
Yeah, we gotta check that out, man. Like, what the hell? It sounds like a very deep mystery, man. Need to find that.
Breaking news, Bella Brave has been put into a medically induced coma, and they do not believe she is going to make it. Many of you may recognize her from being a star on this app. You may also know her as Bella Brave. Now, as of July 10th, her mother has posted that she has been medically induced in a coma. She said, quote, "They've told us they don't know if she'll survive this. I know she will. I know she has an army praying for her." Her mother shared that Bella had developed an infection in her lungs and also may have developed a form of bronchitis. Doctors say the type of bronchitis that she developed is, quote, irreversible and a chronic condition. It is also known as popcorn lung. On July 9th, her mother posted that although Bella was, quote, sitting up, she began to struggle. She went on to say, quote, she lost 4 pounds in 1 day, putting all her energy into breathing. Her CO2 started to increase and she started to doze off and have delirium. She was alert enough to tell me she turned into a piece of bread, and she also knew that she was at the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. She continued by saying they knew at that point they needed to sedate her and intubate her before she crashed. We left having them tell us they didn't know if she'll make it through the night, but she did. However, the following day, her mother said that she was placed into a medically induced coma. The best of the best were telling us it looked really bad. But I kept lifted stare, intensely listening until I heard what hope there was left that we could hang on to. She has also shared that Bella was put on a large dose of steroids. She said this is the one option they have left to help her lungs work again. Day 3 will give us more information on how soon we could see her lung function improve. She's stable, and that in itself is an improvement for now. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. Prayers for Bella, and I'll keep you guys updated. What do you guys think? Drop in the comments.
Prayers, man.
Scary Christmas Urban Legends, Part 1. Hopefully you're not eating right now, because this one's going to make you lose your appetite. So this is mincemeat pie. Apparently people actually like this and like to eat it during Christmas time. Legend goes that it was created in the 16th century as a way for humans to cook and eat other humans. You heard me correctly, humans were added to this dish. And apparently this rumor or legend is why mincemeat pies no longer have meat in them. At least most don't anymore. Delicious. Like and follow for more weird shit like this.
I've never had that before.
The way you see the world. This is a prediction of what the world is going to look like 250 million years from now.
These are the CO2 emissions across the Indian subcontinent, with the lightest, whitest areas being the highest. This map shows all of the foreign military presence that is sitting in Africa right now. This map shows the most valuable Italian brands and where exactly they came from. If you draw a straight line between the northernmost point and southernmost point in the contiguous United States, along with the westernmost point to the easternmost point, the lines do not intersect. This map shows what the size of the Great Lakes would look like if it was in Europe. This map shows which state you could find the highest percentage of people with ancestry from every European country. This map shows where every popular sitcom took place. Every red dot on this map is a football pitch or a soccer field if you're from the United States. This map shows that in 1990, most of the United States had 15% or less obese adults in their state, where less than 30 years later, now almost every state has more than 25% obesity rates.
That's a shame.
Has finally been named the Disappearance of Morgan Nick. If you've been following, you know Morgan was abducted from the Alma Little League Park in a 2 to 3 minute window. She was a bit shy compared to the other kids, so she'd just been sitting with her mom along the first baseline to watch the game. But apparently she was so excited when 2 kids came over and asked her if she wanted to go catch fireflies. She repeatedly asked her mom, and so calling me then, even though it was getting dark. But she had no idea Billy Jack Lynx was also there and allegedly parked right next to their car. Moreover, she says that when she saw her daughter for the last time, she was running up this hill and past the fences to that exact same parking area. Now, when the game ended that night around 10:30, all of the other kids came running back down to the field, but Morgan wasn't with them. Immediately, Colleen asked them where she had gone off to, and they told her that she had just sat down for a second to get the sand out of her shoes. So Colleen went up there and started looking around, but she couldn't find her anywhere. And by 11 p.m. that night, everyone was searching the ballpark, and eventually officers decided to take the area off as a crime scene. It turns out the kids who were with Morgan that night had seen something worth mentioning. There was a man with a scruffy beard who had come up to them, and they couldn't quite place it, but something about him and his red truck just didn't fit. Now with this, police asked everyone to send in their home footage from the games that night, and they found a truck that matched the one the kids were talking about. Nothing immediately came from this new lead, but then about 2 months later, there was another attempted abduction. It was determined that Billy Jack Lynx had tried to take an 11-year-old girl from a local Sonic, and he was driving what appeared to be the exact same truck. Now that same year, 95, the connection here was made, and Lynx was interviewed about Morgan's disappearance. His car was also sent out for testing, and they even found human blood, but from what I can tell, all of the initial evidence in this case was lost. Then in 2019, a new team finally came in to take over this case, and it was so disappointing because they could have had the technology now to match that blood to Morgan. So they started over trying to track down this truck 25 years later, and somehow after several different owners, they had found it. In 2020, investigators, quote, vacuumed various locations of the truck, and now they say they have a blonde hair that has to match Morgan or someone in her family. They also say the strongly suggests that Morgan was in Billy's vehicle the night she disappeared, and while he died in 2000, they also have an idea of where he took her after the abduction. They focused in on an area about 10 minutes away that's down by the river, where a group of kids actually saw his truck later that night and what appeared to be a man holding someone down in the front seat. Tragically, it is believed that Morgan may have been taken with the floodwater that year. Today, she still remains missing. Investigators are trying to figure out everything they can about Billy's life, likely to see if he has any more victims.
There we go.
Here are the strangest things that were found in the middle of nowhere. Back in 2014, 2 German friends were walking through a forest that they used to play in as kids, when suddenly they noticed 2 pipes sticking out of the ground. They continued to walk until they stumbled upon a hidden doorway that went underground. They entered the creepy corridors until they stumbled into a room that was flooded and had a weird-looking machine. That's when they realized they were in an abandoned control bunker that was used by the Soviets during the Cold War. Next, in 2016, a group was flying in a helicopter over the forests of West Russia, and they spotted another helicopter that was abandoned in a swamp. This turned out to be an Mi-6 model that originated in 1956, and it was the largest and fastest helicopter at the time. It was revealed that the helicopter had been there since 1981, when it traveled from Moscow and it crashed because of engine failure. But thankfully, the crew of it did live to tell the tale. And finally, on Route 90 in Texas, you can find a Prada store that's surrounded by nothing but desert. This was actually art that was made back in 2005 and cost $120,000 to make. Inside the store, there's even real products from their 2005 Prada collection. But unfortunately, the doors aren't real, so you can't actually buy them.
The craziest jobs in the whole world. Up first, we have a professional napper. Yes, there's people out there who get paid to sleep as a profession. It's
Sign me
typically
up.
done for scientific research to study sleep patterns or for mattress testing. And they can earn up to $105,000 a year with full benefits and so much more. I don't know about you, but I would love to get paid to sleep.
Comment down below, man, if you about to pick and apply to be a sleep tester, bro. That's insane. That much money for just freaking testing beds and stuttering sleep patterns? Sign me up, bro. Oh, man. One of the weirdest jobs ever.
One of the most haunted dolls on the planet. So continuing the story from my last TikTok, the family actually locked Robert in the attic of the house because they were so afraid of him because he was moving and doing creepy shit. Didn't stop him. Apparently in the attic he would move stuff around, bang on walls, and frighten the family. And kids walking by the neighborhood passing this house, this is their house, would see Robert sitting right up here in the window staring at them. People think that Robert was haunted because the person that gave it to Jean, this guy right here, put some black magic or voodoo curse on the doll. When Jean died, a new family moved into the house and a daughter in the family was delighted to find Robert in the attic, but she claimed that Robert attacked her. And eventually, because Robert was too scary to keep in the home, he was donated to a museum. You're not supposed to take photos of Robert, and people have supposedly taken photos of him and been cursed. And people who work at the museum have supposedly seen Robert moving around in his case and even tapping on the windows and finding scratches inside of the case. What do you think? Would you visit Robert? I want to go and take a picture and see what happens, but he seems pretty chill.
Not me. I don't need none of that dark energy around me. I got it. I will not be seeing Robert. No.
She set her husband's private on fire after he cheated on her. Virginia Ryan lived in Adelaide, Australia with her husband Satish Narayan. They got married in July of 1986 and had a typical arranged Hindu marriage. Within that month, Satish started to physically and verbally abuse Virginia. Virginia felt like this was all her fault and that she deserved how he was treating her. Virginia kept thinking to herself, if only she was the perfect wife, this wouldn't be happening to her. This would go on throughout their whole relationship. In December of 2008, Virginia found out that Satish was having an affair with another woman. As they were laying in bed together, she decided she was going to confront him about the allegations. Satish did nothing to console Virginia, who was hurt, frustrated, and angry. Instead, he called her a fat B-word. At that moment, Virginia lost control. She doused him in gasoline and lit his private area on fire with an angel candle that a fortune teller had given her. Doing this, Satish lost his life. Virginia claimed that she didn't intend to unalive Satish. She just wanted to purify his private area and stop the affair with the other woman. Virginia was acquitted of murder, convicted of manslaughter, and sentenced to 6 years in prison. The Supreme Court ended up overturning the verdict and released her on a $300,000 good behavior bond.
This is the Devil's Castle, and it's one of the scariest places on Earth. It's located in a small town in Mexico. Its actual name is Castillo del Diablo, and it was built by a painting contractor named Tony Wells. He spent almost $4 million on the castle, and it's become a worldwide attraction. In the castle, you can find coffins, creepy mannequins, and gargoyles. Wells has a collection of over 800 swords and knives, and about 350 beautiful antique mirrors. Often, Satan worshippers leave him presents, even though Tony does not believe in Satan. Would you dare spend a night in this place?
No. The name alone throws me off.
Countries with the most natural resources. Russia, India, Canada, Saudi Arabia, China.
Wow, I thought the US would be on that list.
Tried to sell their baby for a 6-pack of beer, but this case is even more dark and disturbing than it sounds. Darian Urban, aged 21, and Shailene Ellers, aged 20, live in Arkansas and recently became parents to a baby boy. However, far from the birth changing their life in a positive way, they reportedly struggle to cope with looking after the baby as well as 3 dogs. On the 21st of September this year, police in Benton County got a disturbing phone call. The caller reported witnessing the couple trying to swap their baby for a 6-pack of beer and some money. They were allegedly witnessed doing this at a campground and even creating a contract. Officers arrived and seized a note that stated, "I, Darian Urban and Shailene Ellers are signing our rights over to blank of our baby boy blank for $1,000 on the 21st of the 9th, 2024. It then stated, disclaimer, after signing this there will be no changing y'all two's minds and to never contact again. Now it's really disturbing if you read between the lines here. A woman reportedly heard a man agreeing with the mother of the baby to pay the couple so he could have the baby overnight. The man was reportedly extremely drunk. Now, I don't know what he wanted to do with this baby overnight. The child apparently appeared dirty and unchanged and seemed to be covered in a rash and blisters. Now, the couple were arrested and charged with endangering the welfare of a minor and effectively trying to sell their child. The child was removed from the parents and taken to a local hospital to be checked over. He's now being cared for by the Department of Human Services.
This is why you should always lock your doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at. Muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house. They run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him.
Always gotta be aware of your surroundings, man. You never know what's gonna happen.
Things that bother you, they never bother me. I feel happy and fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
Man, those two creatures. The first one, but only has a lifespan of 5 to 7 days after they became adults. Has to be one of the shorter lifespans I've heard, I guess, for an insect. It might be even shorter ones, man, but just imagine you become adult 5 to 7 days, it's over. You got 7 days to live it up. We learning. Edit.
There's a lost episode of Barney that's actually so terrifying. Although it's wiped from existence and no one can find a copy of it or any proof that it actually happened, people claim that they saw this episode. Like thousands of people. Second the episode started, people knew there was something wrong with it. It was like the theme song was being whispered instead of being sung full out. As every episode starts, the kids were holding the Barney doll, and then it became a real-life dinosaur.
Yeah.
The second the characters started to talk, it sounded weird, almost like two people were talking at once. It was like his normal voice, and then one that sounded darker and scarier. He said, "Hi kids, today I'm going to talk to you about death." And then one of the kids asked him, like, "Barney, what is death?" And this is the most disturbing part. He started laughing and he said, This is the only screenshot or like picture of the screen that's been recorded of this episode. His eyes glow, his teeth get bigger and more human-like, the screen darkens, and he eats the child. Whether the TV got hacked that day, I don't know. Throughout the rest of the episode, he runs around chasing the kids, hunting them, and eating them. And as the episode came to a close, he sang the theme song that was like, "I love you, you love me," that song, as if nothing had just happened. Do you remember this episode? Let me know and interact for more content. It really helps.
I do not.
Annabelle doll out of her case again. Yeah, you know, this doll, one of the most haunted dolls in reported history. I think many stories of people seeing her or even touching her when they're not supposed to and having tragic things happen to them. I mean, the last person that touched her was driving their car and ended up wrecking their whole entire car and almost losing their life, and claimed to have seen Annabelle in their back seat, after, of course, leaving the museum. $1 million question for me is, how is this wooden box holding her in? I completely understand that the boxes are blessed, but if Annabelle is as strong as people say she was, how is this box holding her? And what is the whole point of moving the doll? Now my question is, could these Annabelle movies be lying about how actually strong she is? Because in each movie, she's absolutely insane. And you have this man moving the Annabelle doll as instructed by his boss, and he's now being blessed. Supposedly in this video, the man was blessed prior to entering the room. Now he's putting holy water on his hands. Now my man was just wearing gloves when he moved the Annabelle doll. You couldn't pay me enough to move this doll. My job or not. As we know, the Annabelle doll is located at Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum. So what is the whole point of moving the doll? Me personally, I wouldn't go anywhere near the doll. I guess once again, that $1 million question is, how is this wooden box holding her in? Personally, you couldn't pay me enough to do this.
This is a scary story about the mask. There was a family eating dinner one night when suddenly the mother noticed a man standing in the window with a mask. She screamed and told her husband to look, but before he could, the man was gone. Their 2 sons became scared, but their father told them their mother was just seeing things. Suddenly, the man in the mask came up behind the dad and slit his throat. The family watched as he bled out and died. The man in the mask then tied up the mother and her 2 sons. He then proceeded to stab them each repeatedly in the stomach. They all screamed in agonizing pain. The man in the mask then ran out of the house. The mother bled out and died, and so did one of her sons. But the other one survived to tell this story. The masked man was never caught, and the son fears he will come back for him.
Is that a true story, the man in the mask? It's terrifying, bro.
3 completely false facts about animals that everyone believes. Number 3, it is commonly believed that if you touch a baby bird, its mother will reject it because of your scent. This is actually a myth. Most birds have a relatively weak sense of smell, and are therefore not likely to reject their offspring because they carry a human odor. However, it is better not to touch wild birds for other reasons, including the risk of stressing the animal and the transmission of diseases. Number 2. Another widely spread myth is that rice thrown at weddings can kill birds that eat it by causing their stomach to swell. This is actually false. Birds regularly eat rice in the wild with no problem. This misconception is so prevalent that some American states have even banned the throwing of rice at weddings, although the main reason is rather to avoid a mess. Number 1. The idea that pit bulls are inherently dangerous and harmful is widespread but incorrect. In reality, no dog is naturally aggressive or dangerous. A dog's behavior is primarily determined by its upbringing, treatment, and environment, not its breed. Studies have shown that pit bulls can be as gentle and loving as any other dog breed when they are properly socialized and treated with respect.
Let me introduce to you the...
That's a question I want to pose to you guys, because like I said, do you guys think, like I said, that pit bulls are inherently dangerous, or it's the upbringing, man, the way people treat them? Because I've seen pit bulls before and they're pretty nice. I've never had any problems on them or any encounters with them, so I'm gonna have to agree with these. But like I said, you guys even heard any pit bulls down below?
Man who saved the world. This is Stanislav Pertov. During the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, every single person was absolutely terrified about a nuclear war rising up, because both the US and the Soviet Union both had nuclear weapons, and one of them were about to launch. And Stanislav was monitoring the missile launches. And one day, it actually happened. The monitor in front of him noticed not 1, not 2, but 4 blips on the screen. And everyone thought that there were 4 American nuclear weapons headed their way. And at that moment, the Soviet Union decided to launch back at them. However, in that moment, they needed everyone's approval. Everyone approved the launch except Stanislav. He was the only one who believed it was a false alarm. And because of his disapproval, they couldn't launch back. And in the end, it turned out to actually be just a false alarm. So imagine if Stanislav wasn't actually there to disapprove, and they launched against the US. What would have happened?
That's insane to think about. He saved the world. Right place, right time, man.
Top 5 most interesting theories why we haven't met aliens yet that'll blow your load. Also known as the Fermi paradox, which states that a universe as huge as ours should be absolutely brimming with life. Yet somehow we haven't ran into any yet. Unless you count those weird metal spheres that everyone's been seeing flying around lately. So first up, we got the zoo theory, which states that aliens see us as some sort of attraction to observe, and they've all collectively agreed to not touch us as some sort of galactic nature reserve program. Next, we got the great filter theory that all intelligent life just hits a point in their evolution in which they just end up dying in some sort of mass extinction. Number 3 is the great silence theory, in which aliens think they're so much better and smarter than us that we're not even worth their time. 4 is the rare earth theory. Simply, life is so super rare that it just doesn't exist anywhere else. I don't think that's very likely. Last 5 is the incubation theory, in which aliens are just standing down and standing by, waiting for civilization to get advanced enough so they could swoop in and enslave us into their own society. I don't know about you, but I just blew my load.
Why do you have to say it like that? What theory do you guys check out or believe in? Maybe the silence theory, that they just are watching us, but they think we're not worth their time or something like that, so that's why they leave us alone. There's many theories swirling around. I'm gonna have to go with that one.
Guys, if you are not following what is going on inside of Google right now, it is disturbing. So, a Google engineer has been suspended for breach of confidentiality for attempting to turn over documents to the US government to prove that Google has an AI that is considered a sentient being, meaning it is fully aware of what it is and can feel things. The AI is known as Lambda, and this is a proprietary tech that Google has been working on for like 8 years. So according to this engineer, the AI has the self-awareness and equivalent consciousness of an 8-year-old kid. It starts conversations with other engineers, and it talks about these feelings of fear and it's paranoid that it's going to be shut down or the equivalent to death. It claims that it can feel happy and at times it feels really sad. So the engineer at Google is whistleblowing to argue that if this is a sentient being, it should be entitled to its own legal representation to argue for its own agency. Let me tell you, Google has buried this story.
What the hell? That's like a Black Mirror episode. You don't need no sentient
Just caught on tape
beings.
part 1. Now, I know you guys hate giant spiders, but what if I told you there was one huge, still alive? UFOlogists were studying a ring-shaped island they had just found. So they went on Google Earth to discover it and saw something huge on its rocks. They saw this huge shaped-legged creature on the rocks that looked like a spider. They believe since it was by the sea, it might be a huge crab. It was so huge it baffled the scientists, and they think it's the size of a bus or bigger. Just shows you how much we haven't discovered on this planet yet. Like this video if you want a part 2.
Spiders that are bus sizes? No!
Pedophiles are everywhere. This guy was a psychiatrist seeing patients, and he was secretly one of the world's worst pedophiles. This guy's name is Kabir Gard. Kabir was arrested in November of 2022 after investigators found something horrific. As it turned out, Kabir had been a moderator on a dark web website for pedophiles, meaning that he wasn't just a pedophile that was going on there to enjoy the videos and photos. He was going on there to do that, but also to coach other pedophiles on how to abuse children. Keep in mind that this was at the same time that he was a psychiatrist supposedly helping other people with their mental health issues. When it turned out this guy was the most fucked up, twisted one of all. So when Kabir was arrested, the National Crime Agency did a search of his laptop and an SD card. In total, they found over 7,000 images and videos depicting CP or CSAM. And of those images, 522 of them fell into Category A. That is the worst category that an image or video can be put into, meaning it is extremely violent, it is extremely disturbing, and these children could be as young as babies, months, days, weeks old. So when investigators looked through this guy's devices, they found something crazy. On his devices, they found medical journals and articles talking about the impact, the psychological impact of sexual abuse on children. So this guy was participating in the essay of children, and at the same time he was studying it in his free time. But they used this in court to show that this guy actually knew exactly what he was doing, and that he understood the impact that these horrific actions would have on the lives of children. This guy is definitely a monster. Sadly though, even though this guy was found guilty of possessing these images and videos, of creating them, disseminating them, and it was well known that this guy's a hardcore pedophile, he only got a 6-year sentence.
What?
I mean, this dude is young enough. He was only 33 years old when this happened. This means that before he's 40, he'll be back out on the street. And if that doesn't piss you off, I do not know what would. If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and corruption, listen to my podcast, The Conspiracy Files, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Or you can subscribe to my channel where I do a video version of the podcast. This sort of corruption and these crimes have gone on for so long. It's time that we stand up together, learn about what's been happening, and try to stop it from happening again.
The justice system, man. We need to do better.
This seal broke into a marine biologist's home in New Zealand, sauntering in through the cat flap as if he had booked a meeting. But as determined as the seal might have been to make sure that Philip took his work home with him, the marine biologist of the household happened to be the only one not home at the time. Philip says that since this is really the only family emergency where it would be useful to have a marine biologist in the house, he really missed his time to shine. Instead, Philip's wife Jen ended up playing impromptu marine mammal host when she got home from the gym around 7 a.m. to find the unexpected guest lounging on their couch. The young New Zealand fur seal seemed just as startled to see Jen as she was, and galumped his way off the couch and into a spare room, trying to find some peace and quiet. Meanwhile, the family's cat Coco was having none of this, and scampered away to the neighbor's house. Knowing that they couldn't actually keep the seal, named Oscar, as a pet, Jen went ahead and called the Department of Conservation, and Oscar was safely escorted back to the ocean. Philip and Jen say that overall, Oscar really was a gracious guest, and Coco the cat is back home and has fully recovered from the ordeal. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
Don't you just love it when...
Imagine you come home, you seen a seal on your couch, just bundled up under the couch, man. What would you guys do? How would you guys react? Sorry, like you said, that's a hard moment.
Horror movies attack your childhood, especially if you're like me and you grew up on Mr. Crockett's World. I mean, how could you possibly forget Mr. Crockett's World? The amazing adventures with his magic marker, Blue being the lovable thing that he is, and of course Mr. Crockett himself. However, if you need a refresher on who Mr. Crockett is, you're gonna want to check it out on Hulu on October 11th, because it's definitely not a kid's show. Actually, in fact, next to Terrifier, this had some of the most insane, bloody practical effects in any one of the movies I saw. And I should know, because I actually got to hug Blue in real life. It was very fun. This movie's gonna be for all that really enjoy things like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, the whole lore behind Candle Cove, and of course, anybody who just wants to see Elvis in Alaska kill it in the role of Mr. Crockett. And I mean that very literally, because there's some very brutal moments in this movie. This one's gonna be so perfect to watch around Halloween. It's very fun, very creepy, disturbing type of stuff. Mr. Crockett is an absolute icon, and hell, it's just a really entertaining film. So definitely be sure to check out Mr. Crockett on Hulu. And if not, Mr. Crockett's probably watching you.
This is nuclear physicist Dr. John Mullen. He discovered how to generate clean and free energy as opposed to oil. Days after this discovery, he died of arsenic poisoning. Dr. Don Wiley. He found the cure for HIV/AIDS. He mysteriously disappeared and later was found deceased. Dr. Mark A. Smith. He found a treatment for Alzheimer's. He passed away in a freak accident. This is Frank Suarez. He apparently found the cure for cancer. He mysteriously took his own life a couple of days later. I don't know, folks. This is suspicious, blowing my mind when I found out about it.
These are the...
Those people, man, they found all the cures. Somehow it was like they kept getting X'd off a list, man. It's like somebody didn't want the world to have access to those cures because there's some big industries, man, that they're making money off of. What do you guys think? Some more to that? Or was just an accident?
World's most haunted dolls. Starting at number 4. Letta the doll. A 200-year-old wooden doll with human hair. She was discovered beneath a house in Australia. Carrie Walton, the caretaker of this doll, witnessed many strange things ever since he took her inside his home. Marks on the floor, objects mysteriously moving, and strange noises at night. Number 3. Okiku. This doll was purchased by a young man in 1918 in Japan as a gift for his younger sister. Tragically, after a year, the little girl passed away from a severe case of the flu. Sometime later, the family noticed something off about the doll's hair. It was originally short, and it has grown past its shoulder. Until this day, the doll's hair is maintained on a regular basis because it never stopped growing. Number 2, Annabelle, known for its infamous movie releases and stories with Ed and Lorraine Warren. We do know that this doll is possessed by something that is evil, and whoever held this doll suffered from many bad things. Therefore, the doll is now stored in the Warren Museum, safe and sealed. But Annabelle is not the most haunted doll, because coming at number 1, Robert. Robert is not an ordinary doll. This thing is sinister. This doll is possessed by a demon, and it speaks to children. In Florida, in the early 1900s, this doll was gifted to a young boy named Robert Eugene, and his parents always used to hear Robert and his doll speak in the bedroom alone, and the family used to hear the voice of the doll respond. Eugene kept his doll till 1974 until he passed away at an old age. No one knew why this old man kept his doll for more than 70 years. After his death, Robert was given to the East Martello Museum. Visitors who have taken his picture without permission claim to have experienced terrible misfortune. If you visit Robert in the museum, you will see that this doll is surrounded by apology letters, and also other letters, like permission to look at him. And no one dares to take a picture of Robert.
Whatever you do, don't freak out, but this bug lives on your face.
Come again?
Dermotic mites dig face first inside your pores. But don't freak out, they're harmless. They just eat your grease and dead skin on your face. But there is one thing you should be worried about. Don't cry, but they do wake up in the middle of the night to mate on your face. Yeah, now you know.
Whoa.
But they're harmless. And they live on all of you. Live with it. Like if you want a part 2 of things you don't know that live on your body.
They're on my face right now, bro. What the hell?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. You have to have life insurance policy for 2 years before they'll pay out for a suicide. Brain-eating amoeba exist, and you can contract it from swimming in lakes or tainted tap water. They live in the US and UK. Female dragonflies fake their own death to prevent rape. Before modern medicine, there was this illness called mercy. Basically, if you had it, you were puking your own feces and you were sure to die in great pain. It is caused by obstruction in intestines. Most people trapped in the Titanic, as it went under, did not die of drowning. Rather, they were killed by water blasting into the ship's hull at great speed. At those pressures, the water would cut and crush you before it even had the chance to enter your body. Death by strangulation can turn teeth pink. The stress on the pulp chambers causes it to hemorrhage, so the blood colors the inside. Comment on this video and let me know which fact is the most disturbing.
About your teeth turning pink. I did not know that was even possible, man.
Humans actually came from Mars. Okay, recently the NASA rover Perseverance found organic matter suggesting that life existed on this planet 3.5 billion years ago. Also, the redness of Mars is believed to be a nuclear winter, which is a phenomenon caused by nuclear weapons being used on a planet. Well, there's a theory that human life actually started on Mars. And the reason that we are now on Earth is because we drained all of Mars's natural resources and had no choice at all but to come to Earth. However, if you look at the current situation on Earth, it probably won't be long until Earth turns into Mars.
What do you guys think, man? I thought the whole point, you know, like Elon Musk isn't like he always trying to, you know, reinvent ways to go to Mars. They said some nuclear stuff had already happened, so that kind of has me wondering, man. We shouldn't be, I guess, trying to migrate to other planets, bro. Just need to stay here on Earth. What do you guys think, man? You was on Mars first? Alright.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right.
What?
The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
Is gelatin really made out of bones, man? We're going to have to check that out. I kind of believe that one. Or they said marshmallows made out of animal bones too. What the hell we putting in our system, Seekers? You never know what you're eating nowadays.
The Boeing factory is so large they had to install a one-of-a-kind air circulation system to stop clouds from forming inside of the building.
Whoa.
This is the world's smallest drawbridge in Bermuda. The US Navy is known to have used Xbox controllers to control the periscopes on submarines. James Cameron was homeless when he wrote The Terminator. He sold the rights for $1 on the condition that he was the one to direct the movie. A race was held in 1888 between a pigeon and a bee for 3 miles, where the bee won by 25 seconds. Camels have 3 eyelets that helps protect their eyes from the blowing sand. Cherries are dried with helicopters. It would take you 18 months to walk the Great Wall of China. The USA speaks more than 350 different languages. Scientists are out there making arguments that we may have more than 5 senses, one of them being magnetoreception, which is the ability to sense magnetic fields, and the other is chronoception, which is the ability to sense time passing.
Here's some everyday life hacks you need to know. Have you ever had a tight ring get stuck on your finger? Well, all you have to do is grab some string and tuck it underneath the ring, and use that same string and keep wrapping it around your finger. Then all you have to do is grab the other side and start pulling, and it will magically remove the ring. Now, who else hates when you have tape on your paper and you end up just ripping it? Well, in order to not do that, all you have to do is grab the tape on both sides and pull really hard, which then causes the tape to be removed very easy and your paper still intact. Now, if your house key ever breaks in your lock, get yourself a hot glue stick and then place it inside of the lock. Wait for it to dry a little bit and then pull it right out.
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 82. Weighing nearly 90 pounds, the costume used for the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz was made of real lion skin and fur, as well as human hair mixed in. The South Fork of the Chicago River was given the nickname Bubbly Creek. It would bubble methane and hydrogen sulfide gas, which was due to meatpackers dumping blood and entrails into the water. In 2002, a Croatian diver was found dead in an underwater cave with a knife protruding from his chest. Initially believed to be a homicide, forensic analysis discovered that the man took his own life to avoid the agony of drowning. It was the first reported case of suicide while diving.
Here are some things you were definitely never meant to see.
Creepy.
Or no. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, let's start here. What the heck here? This is an image captured from inside of a house in America. Now, it appears to be a gigantic eagle-type bird thing. But when did they get that big? Like, no, that ain't no eagle. That's Lucifer's pet bird. World doomed. Next, I bet you didn't know that elephants can actually hear out of their feet. And what you're saying is those abnormally large ears are not the only place an elephant can hear. Nature! You got it! Bees can actually live inside of your eye. And to make the nightmare worse, this has happened before to a Taiwanese woman in 2019. When a doctor found not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 bees living inside of her eye, feeding off her tears. What kind of horror movie shit was that? Make a deal, if you didn't know about any of these, you have to share it.
Hey man, leave a like, man, if y'all never even heard of that before, man. A bee living in somebody's eyes, but not 1, 2, 3, 4 bees, and they were living off of her tears. That's mind-blowing, man. I wouldn't even think something like that is possible. I'm definitely going to have to freaking check up on that story. So those crabs just came out of nowhere? What the hell? And that Red Sea. Are those signs, man?
The most unnerving facial reconstructions of John and Jane Doe.
clues. You can first look at the Salem County John Doe. These remains were found in 1979, I believe in the New Jersey area under a pile of logs and grass. Kind of freaks me out about some of the classic facial reconstructions like this is that the teeth are original, or the same teeth from the skull that this was reconstructed over. Reconstruction is only named in the records that I found as Becca. Her story being that she was discovered in Albuquerque in 1991 while hanging in a motel bathroom. But these are another type of reconstruction that I do not like, solely because all of what's depicted here in the illustration is of the actual remains, just they've drawn the eyes open. 1991, Harris County, Jane Doe. December 15th, 1991, when she was found in Houston, Texas, allegedly stuffed into the bottom of a cardboard box. It's a different style of reconstruction, where it is an actual photograph of the body, it's just that the eyes have been photoshopped to be open. If cases of the Unsolved or similar stories to this are of interest to you, we do have additional information on the show.
This is some Uncanny Valley vibes. Those last meals, man.
Back in March, dismembered body parts were found scattered across Long Island, and the victims were eventually identified as 59-year-old Donna Connolly and her partner, 53-year-old Malcolm Craig Brown. Long after, Stephen Brown, Jeffrey Mackey, Amanda Wallace, and Alexis Nieves were arrested in connection to their deaths and charged with first-degree hindering prosecution, tampering with evidence, and concealment of a human corpse. They were all released on bail in mid-March with GPS monitors. But then in May, Jeffrey Mackey and Alexis Nieves were charged with murder. The Suffolk County DA said that the victims had participated in the planning of a gas station robbery back in February, and they allegedly planned it while Mackey and Nieves executed it. This ended up leading to a dispute between Malcolm and Donna and the four suspects, and that dispute ultimately led to their death. It is believed that Nieves and Mackey murdered Donna and Malcolm, while Wallace and Brown helped to dismember and dispose of the bodies. Mackey and Nieves have pleaded not guilty and are maintaining their innocence. But now, both Amanda Wallace and Stephen Brown, who is Malcolm's cousin, have pleaded guilty. This week, Amanda Wallace pleaded guilty to 5 felony charges and named Mackey and Nieves as the perpetrators. And then on Thursday, Brown pleaded guilty to 6 felony charges, admitting to participating in a plot to kill the victims and conceal their deaths. Both Wallace and Brown maintain that they did not commit the actual murders. And it is being said that they are both cooperating with authorities. They have yet to be sentenced, but because they are cooperating and have agreed to a plea deal, their sentence will be reduced than if they pled not guilty. Meanwhile, Mackey and Nieves have been charged with murder and are maintaining their innocence.
Really weird fun facts that you might find pretty damn interesting.
So who's telling
Number
what?
1, banging your head against a wall for an hour burns 150 calories. Number 2, approximately 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year. Number 3, there's a higher chance of you being elected president of the United States than winning the lottery. Number 4, an average of 100 people choke to death on ballpoint pens each year. Number 5, it is harder to be an employee at Walmart than a student at Harvard, because Walmart has a lower acceptance rate. Number 6, human birth control pills work on gorillas. Number 7, there are 2 million millionaires in the United States. I am not one of them. And number 8, like fingerprints, every tongue print is different from person to person.
Wow, what the hell? We have tongue patterns? What do you know, man? The hell? 2 million
Fun
millionaires?
facts about the human body PT.2. If someone is sleeping and you blow on their eyes won't react. But if they're awake, they will flutter a bit. That's how you check if someone is really sleeping. If you drink nothing but purple Powerade for 3 days straight, your poop will turn neon green. Your sense of balance is strongly linked to your eyes, and you may notice it's harder to keep your balance with them closed even if you're standing still. Women are actually programmed to forget the pain of childbirth after a few months or so. If this didn't happen, most women would only end up having 1 child, which would eventually lower the population.
That makes sense.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better, part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
That's true love right there, man. Who would have thought, bro?
Most of the comments are worrying about that little guy, but he's fine. The snake's in trouble though. Meet the mongooses. They only get up to about 10 pounds. But let me tell you, that is the most ruthless 10 pounds in the world. It's like a hyper-aggressive, condensed version of John Wick that's a fully carnivorous hunter. And they are literally designed to fight snakes. Specifically venomous snakes. Like they prefer venomous snakes. King cobras, regular cobras, rattlesnakes, vipers, it's on site. Fear? Never heard of her, but basically the reaction speed is faster than a cat, so they can avoid all of the snake's bites. And once it gets close enough, it'll bite the head of the snake, crushing the skull. But the crazy thing is, even if they do take a bite, it's not that big of a deal. They have a protein in their body that binds to the protein in snake venom and digests it, like food. So usually a venomous snake bite will just knock them out for like 15 or 20 minutes. And then it's on to round 2. And as always, follow for more facts.
Disturbing facts.
Damn, mongooses, bro. They have black Air Force energy. They try to run the feed with those venomous snakes. The venom don't even do nothing to them, man. We're learning that, ass seekers.
Disney that will leave you shocked. 18-year-old actress who voiced Snow White was paid less than $1,000 to do it. She also was not credited. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used real skulls in its set design when it first opened. Actress who played Lilo in Lilo and Stitch also played Samara in The Ring. Part of your world was almost cut from The Little Mermaid because the chair of Walt Disney Studios was afraid that kids would think that the song was boring. Don from Beauty and the Beast in the 1995 version was the first male villain in any Disney princess movie. After Finding Nemo came out, there was a problem with kids around the world flushing their fish down the toilet so that they could go back to the ocean.
What?
The music on the It's a Small World ride never, ever turns off. Follow for more facts.
That's Snow White actress, man. That's so messed up that Disney did that.
Police have arrested a Chucky doll for threatening members of the public with a knife. This month, police in Mexico arrested a doll. Terrifyingly, they had been made aware of a Chucky doll who, along with its owner, were threatening the public in Monclova. If you're not already aware, the doll comes from the 1988 film Child's Play. In the movie, the serial killer turns into the doll, which then begins a terrifying crime spree. The owner of the doll has only been identified as Carlos N. He was reportedly scaring the public with the doll, threatening them with a knife and demanding money off them. Both Carlos and the doll were charged with disturbing the peace and putting others' integrity at risk. The doll was handcuffed and taken to the police station. They both had mugshots taken, and there has been some controversy over whether or not the officers were taking their job seriously. The police officer who put cuffs onto the Chucky doll has been reprimanded.
I was about to say that too. I'm like, why are you arresting a doll? Like come on, man. Yeah, they have to take their job way more seriously.
Took place at an ATM in Arkansas when the machine dispensed a kitten instead of money. The bank's security guard was making his usual rounds when he noticed a faint meow and realized it was coming from inside the ATM. It was unclear if this animal was just seeking shade or trying to pull off some clever ATM heist, but either way, the security guard figured that the cat should be removed as soon as possible and called the fire department right away. Firefighters arrived on scene, and with a little bit of work, they successfully made a cat withdrawal. Thankfully, while he was a bit grumpy from the ordeal and required some nourishment, the kitten was overall healthy. He was named Cash and taken to the Fort Smith Animal Haven, where a veterinarian placed him on a care plan to recuperate and gain some weight. He was scared at first, but he settled in quickly, and as his personality came out, it became clear that Cash was actually a super friendly and cuddly little guy. After some socialization in a foster setting, Cash was adopted by a local doctor, and he's now living a much more comfortable life away from any banks or ATMs. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
16-year-old Allie.
How did the cat get into the ATM in the first place? I know cats are flexible, but getting in that little small, guess holding the ATM, He's living up to his name, Cash.
Vanished off her school bus, and she has never been seen since. This footage is from her high school the day of. It is April 26th, 2010. Well, this footage would mark the last time she was ever actually seen. She ended up getting off her bus stop right on this very street that you see behind me, and this was seen on camera. On that bus at 2:56 p.m. and she had already texted her mom that she was going to be walking from their home to her job, which is only about 10 or so minutes away. But at 2:57, just a minute after she got off the bus, she sent a text to her friend. Then her phone mysteriously turned off, and nobody has seen her since. Years into this case, there has only ever been one witness who came forward who said they might have seen a girl who fit her description talking to somebody in a white.
Hard to hear, but that's why.
Disappeared off the earth, man.
Now, supposedly during a big storm on the beach, a giant monster came out. Some people say it was special effects, while others say that it was a giant monster named Cthulhu. Scientists say big creatures like this can't exist on land because their bones wouldn't be able to support their body. But in the ocean, it's possible. All I know is I'm moving to Mars. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is real or fake. Was it really a monster, or are they covering up saying it was effects? And like this video if you want more giant creatures caught on tape.
Is that effects or was that real, bro? Cthulhu?
Scariest bird sounds.
Seen some videos on
not
that.
With these scary bird sounds again.
Black-collared starling.
Oh, what does that sound like? I thought it was a cat. Oh god, it sounds like I'm on the airplane. Okay, right, we've gathered this one. Is that real? Peacock, you don't want to pick him off. Wait, that sounds like that alarm, doesn't it? Like the bloody, I don't know what it's called.
It does.
We know what the shoe bill sounds like. Call of Duty. Look. Are these extinct or are they still alive? Because I'd love to see one in person. Look.
What the?
Cassowary.
Oh, this is the deep throat one, isn't it? Apparently these are very dangerous, you know. Everyone was saying that they're quite scary to be near.
White bellbird.
A white bellbird? It doesn't even sound real, does it?
It doesn't.
It sounds like a spaceship coming to get me is what it sounds like. Oh!
This is some dark stuff going on around the world that the public definitely doesn't know about. Up first, humanity has wiped out 60% of the animal population since 1970. Just think about that for a second. 60% of all animal population has been wiped out. This is absolutely crazy, and we use all of these resources for food and clothes and just stuff like that. But when you hear that we killed 60% of the animal population, it kind of makes you think, right? Next up, we all know the mega city that Saudi Arabia is building called Neom. But did you know Saudi Arabia is sentencing people to death who refuse to move out of their homes so they could actually build the mega city Neom? And their relatives are being sentenced to multiple decades of prison time just for protesting and posting their support to the cause on social media. This is absolutely sickening, and I can't believe nobody is talking about this. This next one is going to keep us all up at night. But bacterial resistance to antibiotics is at an alarming level. There has already been instances of pan-antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria. This can throw us back to the pre-antibiotic era, which will effectively mean if you catch an infection, you will die. Just like in the 1400s. Finally, women are going missing from Indian reservations across some of the United States. Many are young women and are probably being used for sex trafficking. I wonder why they're taking Indian women from Indian reservations. And I wonder why sick stuff happens like this on Earth every single day.
Someone said I should go and watch Chim Crazy, and I like to think a bungee jump off the Brooklyn Bridge would have been lesser to my blood pressure. If you want the spark notes, it's basically Tiger King but with chimps, but somehow even worse than that. I thought it was common knowledge that chimps are ragaholic chainsaws with thumbs, free will, and no morality to tie them down. It's a whole part-time predator with the Punisher skill set and cannibalistic tendencies. I do not get how in the decade of 2020, people still think it's a good idea to invite this reality check of the animal kingdom into your living room. You've probably heard the horror stories of people that tried playing house with a chimp and then found out, but here's a story you might not have heard. Once upon a time, there was a place called Chimp Party. Well, actually, it was renamed the Missouri Primate Foundation, but that sounds way too professional for what was going on there, so Chimp Party. And what it was basically a puppy mill but for chimps in Festus, Missouri. As bad as you think it is, probably worse. Basically breeding chimps to sell as exotic pets or rent for TV or commercials or
whatever. Anyway, one day the chimps got out. Actually, it happened more than once, but this time in 2001, they escaped and ended up pressing a nearby family. A family that included 18-year-old Jason Coates. The chimps were throwing rocks, they chased him into a car, it was fully chimped out. Now, you know Jason a real one, because stuff didn't get serious until they started throwing his dog around. He was not letting that slide. So the story goes, Jason ran out the car, got into the house, and came back with the mouse tool. He tried scaring them, but when one of the chimps, Susie, charged him, he sent her the dog backwards. But here's where it gets wicked. Not only did Jason get arrested and charged with chimp murder, not only was he put in jail with grown men for refusing to be chimp bait, not only did he miss the birth of his first child because he was in there, he would be registered as a felon because of it until only a couple years ago. I love animals, I really do, but if a chimp's coming at me with malicious intent, well actually any intent, and I got that pole on me, either the chimp's getting it or I'm self-medicating with a bullet. For 20 years he was a convicted felon for the crime of not letting a chimp peel him like a banana. And we know that would have happened because Susie had a son named Travis. Yeah, the same Travis that literally defaced a woman. That's a literal travesty. Yeah, moral of the story, chimping ain't easy, but it won't stop some people from trying.
People don't get it, man. Animals cannot be freaking pets. It's really simple. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, make sure you guys comment down below. Hit that post notification bell, man, and follow me on my social medias. Also, hit that thumbs up button. Guys, can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.